I want to tell you a story, and really quickly, this is probably going to be one of the dumbest stories, maybe even the dumbest story I've ever told on this channel, which means you're going to like it because it actually happened only a few weeks ago. And I just want to make very clear before I say anything in this story, I'm not going to name anyone involved, but if they watch this, they know who they are, and they shouldn't have done it in the first place. And this does relate back to the topic of this video, just in case you're wondering what on earth I'm talking about. Like, how does this relate to you being the sum of the 5 people you're around? It does. So a couple of weeks ago, I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was just working. I think I was writing my book, link in the description if you want to check it out. And I did the wrong thing first, which was I had my phone next to me, and I preach not having your phone next to you when you're working, but I broke that rule. So I'm going to forgive myself for that. Had my phone next to me, and I get a call from my friend. And I didn't think anything of it at first because this friend in particular calls me all the time. Like, he calls me when he like just for any little reason, maybe even if something, like, nothing could be wrong, he would just call me for, like, to just ask me about stuff, which is, you know, that's fine. I like talking to him. So basically, when I saw his name on my phone, I wasn't like, oh shit, something bad's happened. I was just like, okay, he's gonna call me for the second time this week. And I pick up the phone, and the first thing I hear is, like, laughing in the background. So I'm like, okay, he's obviously with some people. They're gonna do something stupid. I know, like, this is, something dumb is gonna happen, right? And I was right. What I was wrong about was how dumb I thought the thing that was about to happen actually was. What had happened was he wasn't laughing. He wasn't having any fun at all. He was locked in the car with 3 of my other friends who were threatening him with speeding because they know he hates speeding. And I mean, I'm a safe driver as well, so I don't do that. They were threatening to go over the speed limit to scare him if he didn't tell them the name of the girl I was seeing. Just let that sink in for a second. It gets worse as well, by the way, but just let how dumb that is sink in. I got a call from my friend because 3 other friends who, they're not really my friends at all. I mean, they are kind of. I know them from school. 2 of them are more than the third, but they were threatening to speed to try and get the name of the girl I was seeing out of him. Does that sound like particularly intelligent behavior? I don't think so. So anyway, we were talking for a bit, and then he all of a sudden hung up. And the interesting thing that I realized at that point was none of those 3 people that were trying to I don't know why they cared so much. They were trying to get the truth out of him. Not a single one of them had actually messaged me and asked. Like, not a single one of them was actually, they didn't give me a call. They didn't message me just to ask who I was seeing. They decided to do this straight away. And so I get a second call later from my mate after the incident happened. And the incident was, I think the road they were on was like maybe 70k an hour, and they pushed it up to 110 or 120. It was very, very stupid. I don't condone it. They shouldn't have done it at all. Obviously, it wasn't my mate's fault at all because they offered him a lift and they locked the doors when he was in the car. The point of this story, the end of this story was that he told them eventually. He didn't tell them at the start because he didn't think I wanted them to know. And to be honest, I didn't really want them to know because I'm not that close to them. But I would have told them. It wasn't a big deal. And obviously when they went that fast, he was like, okay, I'll tell you. And then he told them and they let him go. And they thought it was a big funny joke. I didn't think it was particularly funny. I think it's funny in hindsight because of how stupid it was. But they shouldn't have done that, for the record. But the point of the story was that those 3 people were people who, and they know who they are, and there's a high chance that they will find this video, and I'm not sorry about saying this. That was a very, very dumb thing to do, and they shouldn't have done that, and it was dangerous and all these other things. But the reason I'm telling this story at all is because it highlights the fact that 3 people I know who I went to school with, who one of whom actually got we call it the Ducks in Australia, if you don't know. One of the people in that car got the award for basically the smartest person in the grade. The Ducks means like you got the highest grades, you did the best on the test. One of the people in that car got that award, smartest in the grade. The other 2 were pretty high up, higher than me at least. And they still did stuff like this, and it just made me wonder how many people I know how many people in my circle are secretly capable of doing something this incredibly stupid and childish. And that brings me to the point of this video, which is that you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with, but sort of with a twist, because everybody knows that, right? Everybody's heard the saying, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with. Okay, cool. the reason I'm bringing it up again is because oftentimes you don't actually know who the 5 people you hang out with, and obviously you can figure out who these people are. What I'm saying is that you don't know who they actually are. You don't know who these, like, the kinds of things that these people would actually do a lot of the time, particularly if you're like me. Like, I went to an Australian public high school. Anyone who's done the same thing knows exactly what that's like. But for basically everyone, your circle and the people you hang out with is not determined by anything other than proximity. That is the thing that determines who you hang out with. Obviously, you know, you're not friends with your entire grade. You like some people more than others because you just have more in common with them, but that doesn't change the fact that it's predominantly determined by proximity. And what a lot of people don't realize, and by a lot of people, I'm going to include myself in that, because I'm still learning this even now, but a lot of people don't realize just how bad of an influence most of their friends actually are on them. I would never in a million years do something that dumb that those people, and I have actually spoken to one of the people that was involved, apart from my mate, because he didn't really do anything wrong. The girl who got the highest, the award for basically smartest in the grade. And she gave me some nonsense explanation because she wasn't the one driving the car, but it was, you know, it was rubbish. It was pretty clear. I could hear them on the fucking phone. I could hear them laughing. And yeah, it just made me realize that even for myself, so many people don't realize the effect that those around them are actually having on them. So another example would be, and this is an example that applies to me as well, was before I cut a lot of people out, I just didn't realize how much they were stopping me from being a better person. Like, when I would do things like go to the gym, or I would talk about the gym, for example, because it interests me, they would behave in a way that would discourage me from doing it. Like, they didn't want me to leave my old sort of, everyone sort of has a box that they're in, and a lot of the time with your friends and people, you know, if they're not particularly good people, they don't want you to leave that box. So as soon as you do things that you know, would make you a better person or a different person, like, you know, exercising a lot, they try and put you back in that box straight away, and they'll say, why are you doing that? Why are you being arrogant? Do you think you're better than us? All those kinds of things. And yeah, it just made me realize how much of an impact your circle has on you. So I guess the moral of the story for anyone watching this is just to, like, take stock sounds like a very, like, clinical, like, taking stock of something makes it sound like you work in a warehouse, but just to take stock of your friends. And why am I sitting so low? I need to sit up straight. Taking stock of your friend group and the kinds of things your friends do, don't just look at it at a surface level, because if you looked at it, like, for example, if I was to ask my parents about all my friends, they can't look at it as anything but a surface level, because they don't know most of them that well. So they will just see that person and go, oh, they're smart, they got good grades, oh, they're into soccer, blah, blah, blah. It would be like very surface level if I asked my parents. But what I can do that my parents can't is I can actually look at each of these people who I'm friends with or not friends with anymore, and I can see how they actually are behind the scenes. Do they, you know, claim they're very into fitness and then they'll go have a vape in the bathroom, or do they do this and then they do that behind the scenes? So just keep that in mind. Have a look at the people you hang around with the most and ask yourself, is this how my parents would see them? Or like in the sense that I'm only seeing them at the surface level, or can I actually look further and see how this person behaves? And you can go one step further than that. You can actually look at how the way they're behaving is impacting you. Do they not value the same things you value? Do they think it's gay that you go to the gym, for example? Because that's one I know a lot of people have heard. I've, you know, had people who watch this channel tell me that they've had the same thing. Do you have friends that, for example, if you were working on some kind of project, like you were writing a book or starting a YouTube channel, do you have friends that you literally couldn't tell about that because they would make fun of you every single day for that? And if that's the case, which I think it is for a lot of people, then you've got a problem. And that's the point of this video. I just wanted to bring your attention to that. And if you stuck around until the end, I'll give you the final bit of that story. The reason they cared so much about who I was seeing, I honestly don't even know how they found out. They just somehow did it. And instead of messaging me like normal people, and I would have told them, they decided to do that. That's literally what happened. And then as a result of that, someone else who isn't particularly happy with me right now, I won't tell that story on YouTube because my channel will get taken down. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Ebook in the description. Yeah, I'm definitely not telling the rest of that story. Sorry. Sorry about that.